Hello friend, how are you? Welcome to Tripana Study Center. Today we are going to do the chapter of social science and highlighting each and every point of it. Let's see what is our topic today. Today we have discussion most important chapter here, peace and security. This is the most important chapter for the all class student. There is a first here point arrive, peace and security. This is the most important peace and security. First of all, here understanding means. What is the means and securities and peace? To begin with, let us understand the means on peace and security. The following interesting story may be help you. First of all, see there a peace. Come here of peace. Peace here. Once a king offer a prize to be artist who is would be paint the best picture on the page. Many artists try. The king looked at all the painting and shortlist two so that he could be finally select once and the best painting. One's picture show a claim lake and perfect mirror for the mountain all around it. And overhead was the blue sky with the white cloud and beautiful reflect in the sky lake. And everyone thought that it was a perfect picture of peace. The other picture also had a mountain, but those were rugged and the above. Above was a stormy sky from which rain fell and which is a lightning played. Down the side of mountain in the house forming a waterfall releasing and water at the great force was also depicted and bird behind the waterfall in a bush. A bird had built a nest and was the feedings here babies in a perfect space. This is the most important piece here. Which painting do you think won the prize? The king closed the second picture. Do you know why? The king started the reason because space does not mean to the absence of the noise, troubles and disturbance. Space means to be a midst of all this and still remain, claim your heart. This is space. Do you think that is a painting selected by the king reflected space in the true sense of the term? Space really does not mean a state of mind or condition with a complete absence of disturbance or conflict. In fact, complete absence of disturbance or the conflict in a human world is the impossible. We are trying to understand peace in a societal, national and international context here. And not in the context there the human do not be exist. We may be therefore define it as a flow. The pace is a social and political condition that ensure a development of individual society and nation, and is a state of harmony characterized by the exit to the healthy relationship. It is a condition related to their social or economical welfare and equality. It is also related to a working political order and that serve true interest of all. In the context of extra nations and international, there is international and international relation. Peace is not a mere absence of war or conflict, but also is the presence of social, culture, economical understanding and unity here. And second here, security. The word security also appear in our daily conservation in the newspapers or in official discourses here. The reference point of security range from the individual, institutional and regional, national and international levels. All of us take up various measures to be ensure our homes or area where we live in. We know that a minister and other VIPs are the provided security individually. Security arrangements are made for a key, the governmental and other important institutions are contain a region that are under threat. We also heard about the national and international security. And these multiple uses of the word security indicated their varied meanings. In a general term, it means a security condition for a feeling free from fear. Free from fear, it also means the safety of the individual on the institution or regions or nation and the world. However, in its most basic sense, security impels to freedoms from the extremely dangerous threat. It is also related to be threat that endanger core value like human rights. And the next point here, peace and security. This is important. Well, the accepting there are varied perception of both the words, it is evident that peace and security are inseparable, and combined together it is a condition. And where individual, institution, regions, nations, and the world move ahead without any threat. In this condition, regions are national and generally more stable domestically, likely to be a democratically is governed and respectful to the human rights, and confess not only generates threat and fear, but also is hampers economics, social and political advancement here. And the next point here, traditional and new understanding of peace and security. This is important here. When we talk about the peace and security, we mostly relate to its a traditional nation that has been to the focus since the age on the dangers of military or army conflict are their threats. And the source of dangers has been to the nations threatening to be take or begin suspected to take a military action against the other. And this dangerous sovereignty, independence and territory integrity of nation, and also the live of its people as a measure of ensure peace and security the cases of the threat of military action as a sorted out by the concerned nation and threat of bilateral agreement or a long-term threat for not taking a military action against to each other is important. Also ensuring to peace and security the cases of threat of military action. The nation also take up preventives measures by increasing their defense capabilities and deploying more army force on their borders. And some also adopted balance of power approach through the entering into a threat with other nations to be take joint action in the case of military attack of any one of them. As we know that international organization like United Nations has been to be created to save the humanity from the threat of war or army confessed. This is important. But a new and non-traditional nations of peace and security is much broader and goes beyond military's threat to be included a wide range of dangerous and threat of human extinction. This is a conceptualization include not only religions and nations but also individual on the communities and the humankind at a large. These notions in the primarily addressed to the individuals. It is true that a protection of people from a foreign attack is a necessary condition for a peace and security. But it is not there be all and end all. But it is not be all and end all. In fact, peace and security is to be seen as the precondition to be social, economics, and development, and to be a maintenance of human dignity. The new notion of peace and security also include a freedom of individual from a hunger, freedom from want, and this is an epidemic, environmental degradation, and exploitations and subhuman treatments here. In this background, the new notion of peace and security is based on threat owing to the military attack, and this threat may be from a terrorism, insurgency, genocides, and general of human died, health epidemics, narcotics, and trade and irrational use of nation resources. This is the most important here. Next topic is the most important here: peace and security for a democracy and development. This is the most important topic here: peace and security for a democracy and development here. There is a mutual relationship between democracy and development and peace and security. In the absence of the peace and security, democracy cannot function and development and cannot take place. It is necessary to be have peace for holding of election. The democratic institutions cannot function if there is no peace. Citizens can be participate in the process of discussion making at the different levels, and only when the pace prevails peace as still more extremely for a development in a various area. No development activity is possible if there is a disbalance on violence or war. This is the most important here. On the other hand, pest control be achieved in the absence of democracy and development. It has been to observe that democracies by and large do not go for war. One can agree that regional peace is enhanced if a democracy is prevalent in all the out a country that constitute that region. Democracy is also better pace for eliminating a condition that generate public justifications. It is so because democratic system provide equal opportunity to all citizens to the participate in the process of governance and discussion making. Development also is a promote peace. It is a thought development that a nation can ensure social and economical process for the people and improve their equality of life. This ensures that the people do not suffer from a sense of deprivations which lead them to be indulged in the protect and violence activities. When the development activities continue in all the countries of a region, every country ensures that pace is not disturbed and otherwise development will suffer. Development inactive to the contribute to the stand, peace and security and stability in their countries. This is important here. So our next topic is the most important here: peace and security approach and adopted in India. This is the most important here. Peace and security approach are adopted in India. Like any other country, in India also peace and security has been to one of the major concern. You also is a must be reading in the newspaper or getting informations through the radio, television about the external as well as internal threat to be peace and security in our country. The geographical position of India and its emergence as a global power make it as a vulnerable to external threat. India has not only faced war with another warring country like China and Pakistan, but has also been to dealing with the international terrorism. There is international terrorism, and it has been experienced internal threat from the insurgencies and separatists. Movements even signed independence. Just after 2 decades of its independence, India experienced a Naxalite activity which has now assumed to the alarming portions here. It is in the context that approach for ensuring peace and security began involving community and early, in fact, during the freedom movement itself. The approach has been reflected in the constitution as well. The approach, however, has been to the changing over the year according to the needs and requirements. And the next point here, evolution of approach to be peace and security during the freedom movement. This is important. evolution approach to be peace and security during to the freedom movement. The idea and view about their approach to be ensure peace and security began during the freedom movement. The leadership clearly realized that the democratic system after the independence can be functional only when to the condition of peace and security is the maintained. The development process can not be accelerated unless the pace prevails and which why the leadership of the freedom movement expressed that the independent India would be make all out effort to maintain and promote to international peace and security. They extended a support to be all the anti-colonialism and anti-resex to the movement in the world and campaigning to the causing of democracy. The consensus they emerged for the adopting socialistic approach to be socio-economic development. And landing emphasis on the social justice and secularism was aiming to be creating conditions that promote a security against the internal threat to peace. It's important. The peace and security in a constitution. You know that this important point, peace and security in the constitution. The process of constitution forming was a great influence by the idea that involved during the freedom movement. The constitution therefore mentioned peace and security in the chapter on directive principle of state policy. This is important. Constitution therefore mentioning peace and security in the chapter directive principle of state policy. You know that this is the most important chapter here. The federal system and their establishment of rural and urban local government ensured that the power is not centralized because a centralized or generate regional and local justification that is may be a threat to be internal security. In a federal system, the discussion in the respect of their socio-economical development are taken by the state government that are the best place to respond to be all the hopes and aspirations of the people of that state. The local government also ensure the mass participation in the discussion making for development and take care for the needs and requirement of all. India therefore adopted a multi-pronged approach and method to ensure a peace and security. At the international level, it is adopted a policy aimed at the promotions of the international peace and security. It extends support to all effort being made at their global and regional level for a peace. Equitable economical development and promotions of their human right and elimination of terrorism. This is important. There are human right and elimination of terrorism at the national level. It is a community to be ensure liberty, equality, and social justice, and secularism, equitable economical development, and removal of social inequality. It is also provided equal opportunity to all the citizens to participate not only in the election but also in the discussion making process at a various level. All this is done to ensure that no section of society feel that is the began to the discriminated or interest or began ignored. Because this is a feeling of discrimination that gives a birth to be discontent and leading to the protest and political violence which turn into the major threat to peace and security. Our next topic is the most important here, internal threat to peace and security. This is the most important topic arrive here, internal threat to be peace and security. You may have observed or experienced that whenever there is on the aggressive protest and demonstration or violent activity leading to the loss of lives and property, it is a threat to peace and security. But number of such occurrences are low and order. Problems which are locally managed by the police. In a democracy like ours, such as a protest, demonstration, strikes, bandhans and other aggregations to be take place to be draw attention to the government or concerned authority toward the specific demand and concern. However, India has experienced various types of violence activity under the grip of terrorism and insurgencies and Naxalite movement, and which are a more serious threat to peace and security. This is important. First come here internal threats here, terrorism. Terrorism, there is the most is here. Terrorism has been one of great threat to peace and security in our country. There are illustrations on the terrorist attack in Mumbai on 26 November 2008 and popularly is called to the 2611. 2611 symbolizes one of the worst such as incidents. Have you not been to be shocked by this kind of terrorist attack in several cities that occurs almost at a regular interval in the recent past? In fact, such activity has been to the happening such as independent of various parts of country. The terrorist who is a conduct of violence activity or person belong to be foreign countries or India youth indoctrinated and supported and turned in the holding country. At the time, we are confused about the defined terrorist activity. In fact, there is no questions on the define of terrorism here. However, in a general terms and the context of India, we may be define terrorism as essentially to the a criminal act influent to democratic and deadly injury on civilians and the create an atmosphere of fear, generally for a political and ideological purpose. Terrorism is a criminal act, but it is more than mere criminality. And this act is many circumstance and unjustifiable, whatever the considerations of a political, philosophical, and ideological, and racial, ethnic, and religious or any other nature that may be invoked to justify them. On your screen, there is the most important picture: terrorist attack in Mumbai. Terrorist attack Mumbai in a 26/11. This is the most a deadly process here. A terrorism attack in Mumbai of Taj Hotel. As we have experienced that terrorists conduct a bomb blast and do the indiscriminate of freeing at their crowded public place and kill and injure hundreds of innocent people. They also hijack planes and kill the innocent passenger and compelling their government to be accept their demand like releasing other terrorists who were captured and keep in the jails. This act also is a destroy public and private properties. They commenced this is the act to the create a environment to choose our ultimate date of people and the government here. The next year, insurgency here. This is important. Insurgency is armed rebellions against the constitution to the authorities. Constitutional authority, their government. Ever since independence, India has experienced violence related to the insurgent movement. Broadly, this can be divided into movement with the political motives and a movement for a social economical justice. The most prevalent of militant groups are the violent extremists and the separatism operating to the Jammu and Kashmir and Assam and different militant groups in India as a northern state of Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland and Tripura. Third, all the member of groups are the Indian. This group are receiver support their another warring country. Whereas this is a militant movement are going on because their groups involved in it is a dissatisfied with their present state of affairs. There are content groups, especially in Jammu and Kashmir and Assam, that have a political agenda. And they are fighting for a secession for the country. And this group have a active support from the other warring countries and even contain internal terrorist groups. And the next year, Naxalite Movement. Naxalite movement, there is the most important point here. The Naxalite movement has been to a cases of great concern because of different kind of complexities. It is began in a village and West Bengal, but has now spread over it about 125 districts in a 12 state, influencing their lives of lakhs of people. The Naxalites are quietly often attacked to public property. The government official, police and paramilitaries force and the people whom they are considered their enemy. The Naxals are also against any development inside the forest area. The government want to build Pakka roads inside the village and forest, but the Naxals is a discourage any development work in their area. Then now that once a development take place, their affairs they may be lose the support of the people. Therefore has been to the misguidings there are insane people, and that the government want to be take away their mineral wealth and their forests. On your screen, there is the most important moment, Naxalite movement. This movement include here there are man, women, they participate and also is here younger. This is the most important Naxalite movement on your screen here. Unfortunately, the basis cases of emergence and spread of this movement has been to be discontinued among the content or section of society. The youth who are engaged in a violent activity of the movement belong to the section of society. Mostly they are scheduled tribes and scheduled caste and Dalit that has been to varying their born of their social discrimination and economical deprivation since our ages. You also might be aware or maybe even has some experience how to the member of this section receive a discriminatory treatment in our society. Moreover, the fruits and development taking place in India are yet to be reached this section in a fully measure. Whatever may be there is a reason, but the development has not been able to meet their hopes and aspirations. Then an exact insurgency began to India in March 1967 when a group of revolutionary led by Charu Mazumdar and Kanu Sanyal. The launch of peasant uprising at the Naxalbaris after the troubles youth, who had a judicial order to the plug his land, was attacked by the goons of local landlord. The trouble relentless and they refused to be part with the land owners and share their produce and left the entire stock from the granary. It ignited the fire, the spirit in the state, and this was brought to the down by use of force and instrumentality, wherein in the some land reforming by their state government. And this was the phase one of the movement. Led on the phase two of the Naxal movement spread to 9 states that are Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, and Maharashtra also here. And Uttar Pradesh passing a challenge to the nations. In the predominantly is a travel area, Naxal is a hall, kangaroo court, and impose the lives of the contract, mine owner, businessman, and even our government officials. The movement has shown up to the leaders and reasons of worker and sympathizer who is believed that whereas welfare are tracked would be liberate India. The next point here, strategy of government. The important strategy of government here. The government of India has been to employ to the strategy and the method to deal with their terrorism and insurgencies and an executive movement. It has been the supporting effort of all the nations and to be fight terrorism and seeking their support whenever any terrorist attack takes here place and diplomatically it is tried to put international pressure on Pakistan and other countries to extend their active cooperation ensuring that is a support to such a terrorist and groups does not we come from them. As regards insurance activities aimed to be political objective, the government of India tried to be tackle it is diplomatically, and India has entry into the threat with the Mandaman and very recently Bangladesh to the extend their help and support coming to the insurgent movement from those countries. It is also tied to the amount of international pressure on Pakistan to do the same. In respect of Naxalite movement in the initiative phase, the state government threat is a law and order problem. But it was realized that it is a more serious issue. Having a deep social economical dimension, effort are being made to be accelerate the pace and development in those areas and bring to the youth into be the mainstream. This is important. Our next topic is the most important arrive here. India and the international peace and security. This is the most important peace and security for the national level. The India and the international peace and security. India has been to equal concern with the international peace and security. It is still there for its progress like any other nation. India also had its foreign policy rooted in their national interest. India has been to the pursuings of foreign policy in which the peace and security at the international level and especially in our neighborhoods and in our region as a war has been a key concern. In fact, right from independence, the basic objectives of Indian foreign policy has been their first year maintenance of freedom in policy formulation, and second year promotion of international peace and security, and third year good relationship with other nations and especially with our neighbors, and the next year support to be United Nations, and fifth year this arrangement is opposition to be colonialism, imperialism and racialism, and the sixth year cooperation among the developing nation. To attain this objective, the foreign policy that India has been appearing to the constitutionality is known as the policy of non-agreement. And third, there has been to the change in it to be keep its relevant in the context of changes on the international scene here. This is important. And the next year policy of non-agreement here. Let's see a policy of non-agreement here. The next topic arrive here policy of non-agreement. This is important. Non-agreement has been regarded as the most important feature of India as a foreign policy. India lead to process of the evolution of the concept of the non-agreement during two period, and when the world was divided into two camps, Western nationalists by the United States of America consulting their one camp, and the communist nation led by the Soviet Union concerning the other. This is most important. United States of America, there is here a Western nationalism by the state, and other is a communist station. Nations lead to be a Soviet Union is here. It known as a period of Cold War between the two camps, and the World War is instance is a rivalry between USA and Soviet Union without fighting a direct war to attack allies in Africa, Asia and Latin America. It started to the soon after the Second World War and the continued for the 45 years. And these two big countries become a two opposite poles known as the East and West, and the world of politics revolve around these two poles. In fact, the world is a bipolar. In fact, world become a bipolar. The non-agreement aimed to the maintaining national independence in a foreign affair by not joining any of the two military alliances and formed by the USA and Soviet Union. And non-agreement was neither as a neutrality nor a non-involvement and not a isolationism here. It was a dynamic concept which mean not a committing to be any military bloc, but taking on the independent standard on the international issues according to the merit of each case. This is important merit of the each case. The policy of non-agreement won a many supporter in the developing countries as it is a provided of opportunity to them to the protecting their sovereignty. As the returning there is a freedom of action during to the tension, redent and Cold War period. India as the primary architects of non-agreement and as one there are leading members of non-agreement and movement has taken to active part. It is a growth. The non-agreement movement is the providing all members a state regardless of size and importance an opportunity to their participate in the global discussion making and world politics here. Among the non-alien nation, Nehru has involved to the special relationship with the President Tato on Yugoslavia and Nasser of Egypt. This is most important here. Nehru had a developed a special relation with the President of Tito of Yugoslavia and Nasser to the of Egypt. And these three are regarded as they are the founding father of the non-aligned movement, means NAM. This is the most important non-aligned movement is the NAM here. The non-aligned movement was a group of the newly independent state who refused to be accept the dictates of the former colonials and master and decided to the act of according to their own judgment. On issue of international concern, non-alignment or movement NAM has also been the anti-imperialist in approach. This is important. On your screen, there is a most important picture here. A leader of the NAM. There is a Nehru, Nurkulha, Nasir and Tato. The L2 are the leader of NAM. This is the most important picture on your screen. Since the non-aligned movement NAM was a product of the Cold War century and the bipolar world, many scholars questioned the relevance of NAM after the end of Cold War and disintegrations of the Soviet Union. However, even in their present scenario, is NAM has a significant role to play. First, with the disintegrations of Soviet Union, the world faces a threat from the unipolar world. The NAM can be act as a check against the dominance. Secondly, the developing of North and the developing South world are divided over the several economical issue here. The NAM is remain a very relevant form for the developing country to be engaged with the developed nation in a productive dialogues. Moreover, the NAMs can be proved to be a powerful instrument of South and South cooperations here. Such a things extremely for the developing countries are the increasing their bargaining power and why as wish to be a development world. This is important. And finally, developing countries united under to the banner of NAM have to the fight from the reform of the UNA and the change it's according to the requirement of 21st century. This is important. The next point is the most important, support to be United Nations. This is an important point here. Support to be United Nations. India has a view to United Nations means UNA as the vehicle for the peace and security and from the peaceful change in the world politics. Began one of the 51 original and founding members of United Nations. India has been extending all out for support in its effort for international peace and security and disagreement here. India expects that a UNA must be involved countries to be moderate their difference thought talk are the negotiations. Moreover, India has a advocate to the active role for a UNA in development effort of the developing countries. It has appeared for a common united front of these countries in the UNA. It's a belief. It's a belief that is a non-agreement is evolved by the victors to be it is a massive as a number could be pay of constructive and meaningful role in the UN by the stopping the superpowers from the using this world body for their own interest. Security Counseling, an important organ. The Security Council is an important organ of United Nations, play a key role in the maintenance of international peace and security. That is why a process of its reform has been to initiated, and there is the possibility of expanding its permanent membership. India has a strong case for the becoming permanent member in the Security Council. On your screen, there is the most important UN building of New York. This is the most important building on your screen. This topic was till this. We will be do their next topic in the next part. If you like it, then please like, share, subscribe, and share the video as a much as a possible. Do not think, subscribe and save in your mobile.